next guest is a multimedia mogul, New York Times bestselling author, and co-host of the popular morning show, The Breakfast Club, which I love. And today he's here to give us a scoop on his new show. For the first time ever, finally, on The Real. Please welcome Charlamagne Tha God. Hey, Charlamagne.
Hey, Lonnie. Peace, Adrian. How are you?
What's up? Excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Charlamagne, one of the things I love about you is how openly you speak about your faith, and I love that. But tell us, how important is your faith when you're navigating your career?
Oh, it's everything. I wouldn't even be in the position I'm in life right now if it wasn't for God. God and black women. Yeah, God. I say God and black women all the time. So, but I come from a grandmother who was prayed a lot. My mom was a Jehovah's Witness. So, like, my whole life, I just knew that there was something bigger than me. And what's crazy, when I was little, I always felt the presence of God, but I always thought it was this Michael Jackson poster I had on my wall. So I would always feel like Michael Jackson was watching over me, but it was God throughout my whole existence. That presence I felt was God.
I love
that. Is that why
that.
you named yourself Charlamagne Tha God?
Well, I started off studying the 5% teachings of Islam. So my grandmother was Baptist, mom was Jehovah's Witness. Father introduced me to Islam. Then I started studying the 5% teachings of Islam because of Wu-Tang and Rakim and, you know, Big Daddy Kane. And, you know, in the 5% teachings, they teach you that the black man is God. And God is a Greek word derived from the Aramic words, Gumar Oz Dabar, which means wisdom, strength, and beauty.
You know, this is what I'm talking about with
people
him.
People don't recognize that. Like,
I think
people just think, like, oh, you think you're the God. Like,
right. But there's a meaning behind his name. But he's also become very influential, sometimes controversial. Do you ever worry about the cancel culture and you being canceled?
No, because I think that there's a accountability culture. And I think, you know, we all have to be accountable for things that we've done, things that we've said. And I don't worry about cancel culture because the only person that could ever truly cancel me is God. But I think that what we call cancel culture is actually accountability culture. I think a lot of times when you see that outrage that comes from online, it's just people wanting individuals to be held accountable, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do wonder when we're going to get around to redemption culture.
Oh, wow.
Humans will always fail purity tests. Humans will always fail purity tests. There's not one person amongst us, you know, who hasn't said something, done something, tweeted something. So what are you going to do? You going to get rid of everybody? That's just not sustainable.
How do you handle the backlash when there are those moments that people are like, oh, he said this? How do you handle that? Does it ever get to you?
You've been through some things, Charlamagne.
Yeah. Does it ever get to you?
Of course it gets to you. I'd be lying if I said it didn't get to me, you know, but it's like, if you're in this business, you know, we give our opinions for a living, we talk for a living, and you can't speak if you're afraid of people disagreeing with you, you know?
But have you ever tried to censor yourself, Charlamagne? Have you ever tried to censor?
Yeah, I mean, definitely as I've gotten older, you know, I think, you know, when I first started, especially with the Breakfast Club, I was just trying to survive. I was coming off 4 firings. I had been fired 4 times. And, you know, my now wife was living back home in South Carolina with my 2-year-old daughter. So for me, I was like, man, I'm not going back to South Carolina. I'm not collecting these unemployment checks no more. So I don't judge anybody for what they was trying to do when they was trying to survive. But I will say, as I've gotten older, I realized that, you know, honesty without empathy is brutality.
Oh, wow. That's a word.
So I think, you know, I probably was very brutal back in the day, but, you know, I have a lot more empathy now with the honesty.
And I see that you're growing, Charlamagne. You've created the Mental Wealth Alliance. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, I started going to therapy maybe 5-6 years ago. And I wrote my second book, Shook One, Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me. It was really just talking about the things I was learning in therapy. And I had a doctorate named Dr. Ish Major who was giving these clinical correlations to my experiences. And like when I put that book out, I wasn't even ready to talk about those things publicly. But, you know, when you put the book out, you got to go out there and you got to, you know, talk about what's in the book. And I was going through it in real time. Like, you know, the panic attacks and even just being that vulnerable because, you know, when you start going to therapy, you think you know something, right? Like you think that you know your life, you think you know who you are, but then you start peeling back those layers and you realize, man, I don't know nothing. So you're at your most vulnerable. So I was out there on these platforms a few years ago having these conversations, and I was just telling my experiences because I'm not an expert at nothing. And, people just started saying, like, I remember Tracy J, salute to Tracy, that's Taraji P. Henson's best friend. They got the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. And I remember she said to me, you're a mental health advocate. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, brother, whether you want to be or not, yes, you are. So the Mental Wealth Alliance for me was just, if I'm going to do it, let me do it for real. Like,
what do you say to black men, though, specifically black men, about mental health and seeking therapy? What do you want to say to them?
Oh, man, it's okay to not be okay, and you got to deal with your trauma before your trauma deals with you. Like, and you got to do that work. Like, it's your personal responsibility to heal. Like, it's not your wife's, it's not your girlfriend's, it's not your mom's, it's nobody. It's you. You have to, take the reins and go out there and seek healing on your own. And I promise you, man, it will change your life for the better. Like, everything about my life is better.
There's something special about seeing him being vulnerable, specifically you being vulnerable. There's something that connects with that on such another level. So I thank you for that.
You're a great role model.
So inspiring.
But we got more to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Because when we come back, we're going to talk about your new show on Comedy Central, The God's Honest Truth. Keep it right here. This is The Real.
Yes. Welcome back. We're still hanging out with Charlamagne Tha God. Super excited to have you.
Charlamagne, you're doing big things. You continue to raise the bar. You provide opportunities for up-and-coming talent. I think that's very important. You recently launched the Black Effect Podcast Network, which is a game changer. Can you talk about it a little more?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a radio guy, so, the future of the audio space is absolutely positively podcast. And so when I re-signed with iHeart, I didn't want to re-sign as just a talent. So I had this, idea to launch a podcast network where I'm a majority owner. And it's majority black owned because, myself and the president of the network, my homegirl, Dolly Bishop, she's an owner as well. And I just wanted a platform to be able to help, other black voices, be heard. I want to amplify those voices. So, we got everything from, Debbie Brown and Michelle Williams doing mental health and mindfulness to, Tamika Mallory and my son doing social justice to comedy like the 85 South Show, sports like All the Smoke. So, go check out theblackeffect.com.
Shout out to Dolly. I've known her for years. She's amazing.
Oh, man, that's one of my really close friends for a long time. And, she just got named the #9 most powerful person in all of podcasting. So,
I love that.
And we're celebrating our first year. We just had our 1-year anniversary. So, Dolly's incredible.
That's amazing. Now, let's talk about your new show. Tell me all about it.
It's called The God's Honest Truth. It comes on Friday nights at 10 p.m. on Comedy Central. And, I do The Breakfast Club with Angela Yee and DJ Envy, and I do my podcast, The Brilliant Idiots, with Andrew Schultz. But this show is really me and the things that I want to discuss at, 43 years old. And I told my showrunner, Rachel Edwards, I want this to be a letter to America every week. So all of the things that we want to tell America that we feel like the news may not be saying or different outlets may not be saying, we're saying, because denazification took out all the Nazi ideologies and symbolism, and it was a step in the right direction to healing for Germany. And we need to do the same thing, here in America.
And you executive produced this with Stephen Colbert. How did y'all hook up?
What's crazy? Stephen Colbert's brother, Mr. Colbert, was a 7th grade social studies teacher at Berkeley Middle School in Most Point, South Carolina. Yeah. So we both from South Carolina. So he was my 7th grade middle school teacher. And then I told Stephen that the first time I ever did his show. And I don't know if that's the reason he kept bringing me back over and over, but I did his show. I've done his late night show like 7 or 8 times. So, we just built a rapport with each other. And he knew that, late night TV was something I wanted to do. And he thought I could do it. And so we connected to create this show. And my man, Aaron Magruder, too. Don't forget Aaron Magruder, the legendary Aaron Magruder, who wrote the Boondocks and, Black Jesus and everything else. He's an executive producer on it as well.
Well, I'm excited to see how this all comes together. We've got a clip. Let's check it out.
We have what I love to call good white people. So if you're a GWP who's been using your privilege to combat prejudice by helping the marginalized and disenfranchised or giving a certain radio personality a talk show, good job, buddy. That's right. Now, Let me Euro step my way into the paint and discuss one of the pillars of this episode, 1940s Germany.
I like that. You know what? I like seeing him.
Me too.
Like
I love
this.
seeing you like this. This is so
different.
dope.
It's new. You know
you
what I
really
mean?
have broken barriers.
Yeah.
And it's so wild to see.
What advice would you give, Charlamagne, to someone that wants to follow in your lead? Best advice.
Don't follow my lead. You know what I'm saying? I might have led you down the wrong path early on, but you know what, man? I can't even say that because everything was part of a larger process. And, you know, no matter what I've been through in my life, man, every single experience has led me to this moment. So what I would tell, you know, anybody that wants to be like me, don't want to be like me. Be you, you know? Don't get caught up in being a caricature of anybody else, because, you know, I've done that. You know, I've gotten caught up in being the caricature of Charlamagne and seeing things work for other people. And, you know, I start becoming a second-rate version of, you know, what that person was doing instead of a first-rate version of myself. And all of our DNAs are different for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all got our own unique gifts and our own unique abilities.
Yeah.
So you got to tap into that and, you know, really go out there and get what God has for you.
Amen.
Well, Charlamagne, thanks for stopping by.
Thank
Good luck
you.
on the new show. His new show, The God's Honest Truth, with Charlamagne Tha God, airs Fridays at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Comedy Central. We'll be right back. This is The Real.